ever signed up for any web app or pretty much browsed anything on the internet for longer than, say, 5 seconds, you've probably come to learn that websites really like to send emails. If you're at all responsible for marketing and user retention, you're probably also very aware of the business value in being able to send emails. Well, there's nothing special about Node that prevents you too from adding to the volume of email floating around the internet. In this episode, we're going to look into one method for sending email in Node. As you might imagine, we're going to turn to a Node package to handle sending our email, and we're going to use one called Node Mailer. It handles all the important features we'd expect for sending email, including HTML content, large and small attachments, and others. Installation is simple, npm install --save Node Mailer. Now before we jump into configuration, let's cement some of what we learned last time. Let's have a look at Node Mailer's package.json file. It was installed in our Node modules directory. Reading through it briefly, we can see all the important fields like name, description, author, and friends. There's another interesting field called dependencies, which you may recognize from Node/'s package file. Our next episode is going to be all about developing a package, and we'll get into how to use that field then. Alright, let's get into configuring Node Mailer and start sending some email. First of all, in the root of our project, let's make a directory called lib. This directory is for holding things that aren't core application concerns, but that we still need to use. Configuring our emailer is important, but isn't Node/'s raison d'etre. Let's make another directory called mailer, and then open a file inside of that called index.js. Can you guess why we're calling it index.js? Pause the video for a second and think about that. We're calling it that so that it's easier to think of the mailer as a separate module. We're not going to go full on and give it a package file, but we do want to treat it as an entity separate from our app. So let's make a skeleton for this file. Module.exports equals wrap, var node mailer equals require node mailer, function wrap config. Node Mailer has the important concept of transports. If you think of email as a paper letter, then the transport is a bit like which delivery service you use to send it. You may use whatever the standard postal system is where you live, or you may use a commercial service like UPS. Heck, you may even just toss it into a bin, hoping that someone else will come take care of it and then use one of the various shipping options. Node Mailer has options. We're going to use a transport that operates like this last option, and for two reasons. The first is that sending email for real is going to require authentication credentials, and we don't have a slick way to keep those credentials out of source control. The second reason is that this transport plays perfectly into what we're trying to accomplish with the letter opener package we started last episode. So we're going to use the Node Mailer pickup transport option. We'll need to install it as a separate package, so npm install --save Node Mailer pickup transport. This transport will write our emails out as .eml files to a directory of our choosing. In a production system, this could be useful as a queuing mechanism of sorts. Some other service that has visibility into that directory could then pick up those files and send them out onto the internets. We're not going to use it that way though. So, back to our mailer file. Let's require this new package. var pickup transport equals require node mailer pickup transport. To actually set up this transport, we'll need to tell it where to store these files. Let's do that. Var options is an object with key directory and value app.apppath temp email. Remember that app.apppath is a function that builds a path off of our application root, and it's defined in config application.js. Next, we can build our transport. var transport equals pickup transport, and we pass in our options. And then we can make a mailer that our system can use. Return node mailer.create transport. A few comments here. You'll notice that we didn't actually use the config variable that I put into the function signature. During the long break-in episodes, I did a lot of experimenting in how to better construct applications. I found a construction I like a lot that depends on modules receiving their configuration via their arguments rather than reaching out of band into global space. New files are going to start getting that as a placeholder, and it will come to make a lot more sense in later episodes. I just wanted to let you know that wasn't a typo. Okay, before using our mailer, we'll need to make the directory where we'll dump our emails. So out here in the root, make dir temp email. And now we can quote-unquote send emails. Hey, remember our AppAware console? Let's use it now to send an email. An email takes a number of options. Let's define such a blob really quick. So we'll make an object called email that will have a key from, a key to, a key subject, the plain text version of the email, the HTML version of the email, and then an attachments array. Then we'll grab our mailer and send it. Now this email object has the base set of information needed to send an email. The only part worth mentioning here is the attachments array. This is an array of objects with properties about the attachments we want to send. In this case, we're sending one attachment. The file name option on an attachment determines what your recipient's email client will call the file. Path is a path to where the file we want to send is located. Using this option, we'll stream the file off our disk as opposed to loading the whole thing into memory and then sending it. It's coincidental that these two names are the same, obviously. Also, I don't really recommend emailing files that are part of your application source from within your app. Anyway, let's have a look at our file system. If we run ls on temp email, here's a file. Your specific file name there will likely differ from mine, but let's have a look at its contents. That is what emails actually look like. The nice views you see of them in your client come from a better renderer than what Vim provides. As one last measure, we should probably add that temp directory to our gitignore. We can just do that by echoing temp into gitignore, of course using the double angle bracket. And there you have it. We sent an email. You might be thinking this was a little lacking since we didn't get a production-ready feature out of it. It's a balance against making the episodes too long, and I'm favoring the Node philosophy of doing one thing and doing it well. This was a discrete step to getting our email subsystem fully functioning. Because of that great Node philosophy, when we are ready to really send the emails, we'll only need to replace the transport that we use. The rest is in place just as it should be. Also, with the next episode, we're going to develop the rest of our letter opener package, which is going to give us a nice way to view these emails inside of our application. This will come in very useful for developing applications that send email, as we'll soon see. So stay tuned, and until next time, happy coding.